Welcome to the Creative Me podcast. Coming to you from Guernsey in the Channel Islands. This is episode 46. Are you spending too much time creating content? Hello, it's Martine here and welcome to episode 46 of the Creative Me podcast. First things first, I must let you know it's baking hot in Guernsey today, so I am recording with the window open. You might hear some birds singing. I'm not going to apologise for that. It's a lovely sound. That being said, if the dog decides to growl, I will probably edit that bit out. This week has been pretty cool on the social media side of things because I've been doing a daily live stream in my Facebook group, the Lightbulb Club. It's been a massive learning curve and I've really enjoyed doing it, and I've enjoyed the engagement I've had with people who've been able to tune in live as well. So if you've managed to do that, thank you very much. I am going to be blogging on Saturday or Sunday, I haven't quite decided yet, to share all of the replays over on the blog, martinellis.com/blog. And I'm just going to share a few thoughts on the experience and what I learned. So watch this space for that. Today's episode is elaborating on one theme that cropped up in a live stream that I did this week. And my question to you is, are you spending too much time creating content? Now, on the Creative Me podcast, I always strive to be totally transparent. So I'm going to share some really quite personal thoughts on this subject because, hands up, I probably would answer that question as yes. Let's delve into it a little bit further. First thing to suss out really is, what do we mean by content marketing? Because if you're producing content, one would hope that you're actually undertaking what we would refer to as content marketing. So there are two parts to content marketing, and I covered this in the live stream, but just in case you missed it, I will go over it again. You've got content and you've got marketing, two parts. So content can be anything from blog posts to email newsletters to videos. You might create things like ebooks, swipe files, that sort of thing. If you're doing marketing, it suggests you've got a product or service for sale. And by producing content to market your product or service, what you're doing is you're educating your prospective customers that they need your product or service. You might also be working on establishing a relationship with your prospective customer because you want them to know, like, and trust you. And producing high-value free content is a great way to do that. Ideally, if you're content marketing, you will already have a product or service for sale, but it's possible that you won't, and you're working on the know, like, trust side of things. Producing content is a brilliant way to market yourself and your services and your products. It's also a brilliant way to burn out and drive yourself into the ground. So that's why I'm asking the difficult question today. Are you spending too much time producing content? Let's look at me as an example. At the beginning of this year, I undertook to produce a certain amount of weekly content. Weekly was an important frequency for me because I do believe that people live their lives in weekly cycles. You know, think about television, weekly soaps, that sort of thing. Weekly was the right frequency for me to choose. Consistency is essential. I decided to produce one email newsletter a week, and that's worked extremely well. But on top of that, I decided to produce a podcast episode and a blog post. Given that my podcast episodes tend to be between 10 and 15 minutes long, guess how much time actually goes into creating one? I would estimate it's about 2.5 hours for 10 minutes worth of content. I mean, that's quite a lot of time. In order to produce a long-form blog post of, say, 1,500 words, something like that, I would estimate that probably takes roughly the same amount of time. So if you add on half an hour to an hour for producing an email newsletter, that's probably 6 hours a week on content creation. Not to mention spending time producing stuff for Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing as well. So it wouldn't be a long shot to say that I spend one working day a week producing content. I work half my week as a teacher, so that's usually 2.5 days a week, but actually it tends to work out being 3 because I run an evening class as well. So let's say I work 3 days a week as a teacher, and then I have my own business for the rest of the week. You could call that 2 days a week technically, but I do tend to work at weekends as well. Let's pretend for a minute I didn't work weekends. We'll have to take 1 day out for content creation. That leaves me with 1 day a week to work on my paid products and services. I have a couple of clients that I do work for, so quite often my client work takes precedence over my own course creation and product creation as well. Can you see the problem here? I'm telling you this, I'm being totally transparent because I think I'm not the only one who does this. I think there are other people who focus so much time on content creation, and I'm not saying content marketing there because if you don't have a product or service, you've not really got anything to market. They spend so much time creating content that they don't have time to work on paid products and services. And let's be frank here, you need to be offering a paid product or service to pay the bills. The purpose of this episode is to start some conversation. I am going to start approaching my content creation slightly differently. Please don't worry, you're still going to get loads of fantastic free value from me. I am not going to move away from that at all, but I might start working on streamlining things a little bit more. And what I really want to do is share that entire process with you because I think it's crucially important. I'll give you an example. Is it possible that I could podcast from my smartphone? Is it possible that I could be using video more effectively? There are always ways to produce things in a more streamlined way, and that's something I'm really very interested in. You probably know that about me from my blog and podcast checklists that I offer for free on my blog. I'll link to those in the show notes, martinellis.com/46. Just to be clear, I'm not recording this podcast saying to you, I'm wiped out, I'm burnt out, I can't afford to produce any more free content. That's nonsense. That's not what I'm saying. Producing content gives me an awful lot of pleasure, and it's not something I'm going to stop doing anytime soon. However, I do need to be realistic, and I do need to think about my business and the fact that I have to spend more time producing paid content. The reason I'm sharing this with you is for transparency, and I don't think I'm alone here, and I really would like to start some discussion about this in my Facebook group, the Lightbulb Club. So do hop over and join in the conversation. It'd be really great to see you there. So to conclude, what happens next? Well, like I said, I'd like to see some conversation around this topic because I feel it's a bit taboo. Nobody talks about this, do they? So let's have some conversation. Let's share best practices when it comes to producing content. How do you do it efficiently? How do you work out who you're going to produce your content for and what that content looks like? I would really like to hear from you on this topic. Before I wrap things up for today, I just want to say if you can hop into the Lightbulb Club to catch some of my live streams, I've got a couple left, I'm finishing on Sunday, it would be great to see you there. Today I'm giving you a tour behind the scenes of my website because I thought that would be fairly interesting. After that there'll be 2 more live streams left. Sunday's live stream is going to be extra special because I have a special guest, someone that's visiting Guernsey, and you will be very excited to see her on the live stream, I'm sure. All right, that's all from me today. Hop over to martinellis.com/46 to catch the show notes. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please join the Lightbulb Club on Facebook in order to start some conversation. If you just put thelightbulb.club in your browser, you will find us. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll join me next week.